Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a guide on how to dominate the seas as Lokhir Fellheart in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. You start at war with the Vampire Coast over here, the Dead Flag Fleet, and you do have an army to deal with, as well as an entire province that they start under their control, as well as an extra port right here that is very useful in terms of growth and in terms of tradable resources, as well as income from trade tariffs. So you do want to take over that port. But first things first, you want to deal with this army. Just be aware that these guys do have depth guard. That's the only dangerous unit there. It's fine to take damage on Lokhir or the sorcerers, but just go deal with that situation. You do have some artillery support from the very beginning of your campaign with this black arc right here, this special black arc. And the first thing you actually want to do is start getting this black arc to tier 2, start constructing a barracks in Lokhir's territory, and start getting founded on tyranny. What you want to do in terms of research is get these 3 techs so you can get upgrade 1 unlocked, so you can get black arc growth, cumulative research unlocked. Because you are going to get a lot of black arcs, and you can even recruit a second one from the very first turn of your campaign. Though keep in mind, Lokhir's black arcs don't start with the barracks anymore, so that is a bit unfortunate. The one you do have at the beginning of the campaign does have that, so that means you can get black arc corsairs from the very beginning. You may want to move it a bit closer right here in order to ensure you're covering this entire area of the campaign, so that you can recruit units for Lokhir. Now, once you've taken that settlement, I would recommend getting a growth building right here, as well as using the slaves you've acquired from the battle to get a tier 2 barracks. You won't start with any, but you do just want to get those dark shards. You do want to get those slaves right there. And yes, go declare war on the minor caste faction right there to the north and get Rude Marcher, Inspiring Presence. The value proposition right here is that you're going to be able to get 2 masters, assuming you own the Shadow and Blade DLC. If you don't own the Shadow and Blade DLC, that is a different discussion, and on turn 2, you might be able to get a peace agreement. But yes, you just want to recruit a bunch of Dark Shards, you want to recruit a bunch of Black Arc Corsairs, a couple of them at the very least, and make sure that you're within the zone of control of the Black Arcs right here, because you do want to get that recruitment going. In terms of commandment, you want to use increased slave production quota. That is going to be a pretty big benefit. Now, after turn 1, you actually do have a choice on how to deal with this campaign situation, because as the Dark Elves, you might think, oh, I should ally Snitch, I should fight Cathay, but you kind of don't have to fight Cathay in this campaign. There's no campaign objective to actually fight Cathay. Instead, what you're encouraged to do is choose. Like, you could ally Miao Ying, you could ally Xiao Ming, and get them as strong military allies. Would be really nice for artillery. Snitch can be also useful, just keep in mind Skaven are a bit unreliable as allies. Actually, who am I joking? They are very unreliable as allies, so bear that in mind. But yeah, you can just start moving south over here to deal with the minor faction of the Vampire Coast, or you can just start moving west into the Forest of the Moon to take this province before Snitch and then sell it to Miao Yang. The benefit here is that Lokhir does have the ability of traveling to a Black Arc from anywhere on the map, so that means you do have that kind of campaign movement range that Lokhir previously didn't have. So that is a pretty big benefit to consider when you're playing as Lokhir. Now, your goal here, regardless of which path you decide to take, is to get to Shilong. The reason you want to go for Shilong is because you would get the red blades as an item right there, and you can capture the entirety of the Celestial Riverlands as a 4-region province, which would give you a significant number of benefits. So keep in mind the diplomatic aspect with Cathay can be a bit complicated, but suffice to say, it is a good choice. You could also go for the Standing Stone, though that's not really too important from my perspective. That's one goal. In this case, what I did was take Kunlan, then traded it to Snitch for Jade Wind Mountain, gave Jade Wind Mountain to the Celestial Loyalists. So that's started the war right there between Cathay and Snitch, which Miao Ying is going to get involved in at some point. And that is in my favor. Another thing would be to try and capture as many people as quickly as possible to prevent to confederate Karen Carr, but that's its own discussion. Whether or not it's worth it, to be honest, it can be a huge resource sink, but it can obviously give you significant benefits. But bear in mind, Lokhir's priorities are not necessarily to go to Nagaland. If you want to go there, then yeah, fight as many battles as quickly as possible. But your objectives are a bit different. One of the things you do want to do is get to tier 3 and get access to K-Knight Assassins, and as well as Death Hags. This is a huge benefit in your campaign because it gives you casualty replenishment heroes. It gives you those post-battle loot heroes, which are very, very useful. And the way you do so, the way you make this work is with regards to just managing the slave game. Another thing worth pointing out with regards to all of this is the more black arcs you have, the more you can get gold through the naval market. So you can gain a lot of slaves post-battle, especially if you're thinking about Sacrifice of Cain and Sacrifice of Anathema, especially since you can use both of them at the same time. That is a specific benefit. Keep in mind, black arcs cannot go via inland to, deal with rebellions like in this specific case. So that is something of a downside. But another thing you want to do really is go after the River Lords. The reason you want to go after the River Lords, well, there's multiple reasons for it. But one of the reasons is Nakai does end up at war with them fairly often enough, and so he will march on them, take their territory, and then you can sell said territory to Nakai's vassal. But what you're really after over here is this sea lane. So you want to get one black arc through here, through the sea lane, in order to reach Sea Lord Acelin. So what you want to do with Lokhir is kind of just conquer over here into the Celestial Riverlands. Specifics don't necessarily matter. Black Arcs, Dark Shards, Black Arc Corsairs, all that kind of stuff. Again, the way you specifically do it, not as relevant anyway. And yeah, we can, just recruit a bunch of stuff over here. Though this army, I think, in this case is actually probably strong enough so to deal with the rebellion. That's the thing about the Vampire Coast. They're pretty bad in auto-resolve, so even on Legendary, assuming you have a full army, right? Especially if it's Black Arc Corsairs, you can probably waltz over them in just auto-resolve. So you want to get Lokhir's item, you want to get as many Black Arcs as possible, you want to get your heroes. Yes, you could prioritize, of course, getting getting access to a mage for your provincial capital, an extra mage, but that's not necessarily the biggest priority. You do start with one anyway, and having an extra one, compared to just being able to recruit Black Arc Corsairs on land and artillery and all that kind of stuff, maybe not as important. Or you could get rid of the barracks. Lokhir's significant benefit is these two things together gives him a lot of money, a lot of slaves, and that's how you end up dominating. So it's really pick your own adventure type campaign, really, with Lokhir. And of course, once you get to rank 12, you do get his entire special skill line, which grants him even crazier benefits like lowered recruit rank, faction-wide, etc. So very, very useful in that respect. Okay, in this specific case, Xiao Ming did take the Baleful Hills before me, so I'm just going to sell him the Bridge to Heaven. in this case. I also sold Shillong to Gelt, barracks, you get military alliances, all that. And with Lokhir, once you get your Black Arcs in your Aceland, you can just teleport there. Keep in mind, it will take an entire turn to do so, and so I am moving all of these lovely heroes. Now, in order to get the Aceland sea lanes, what's important to note here is that you need to control the entire province that Aceland starts in. That means also wiping out the United Maritime Patrol faction that controls the Tower of Stars and Tor Elisor. Very important point, very crucial to remind people that, because it's not just a question of like, oh, you just gotta defeat Aceland. No, you don't actually have to defeat Aceland. You just gotta take his capital. That's a bit of a different situation right there when you're talking about the goals here. And yeah, in this case, I'm also recruiting another army. Different decisions. You know, I'm looking to try and take this city, or take it before Snitch does, sell it to to Miao Ying, get an alliance with her as well. All that good stuff, right? That you do deal with in a Cathay campaign. And various diplomatic dealings. Gremgor. So yeah, just vision, declarations of war. Aceland does usually declare war on Clan Spittle and on Lokhir Harkon, so hey, free declaration of war right there. And if you want to go to Lustria, I'm not sure exactly why you'd want to, but yeah, you can do so. Also keep in mind this is a major port, so you will be able to use that to your own benefit right here. But yeah, we're just going to recruit a couple of units in order to be ready to attack Aceland in that situation. So yeah, here I do want to grow this specific settlement. We do have the Ogre Mercenary Camp right here, but I think I'm just going to get rid of that because, well, I don't want to lose the extra growth benefit that I do have right here. And that would be certainly a lot of slaves to be spent right now. So once you have control of the eastern colonies, you will be able to use Aceland sea lanes, which you can just use to go invade Ulfuan if you want to. Really, there's a whole bunch of choice. You can go to Lustria, you can go into the Southlands if you want to. Personally, I just prefer going for Ulfuan, if I'm being honest on that. Just a better choice, really, altogether right there. Assuming that I click correctly right here. There we go. You don't have the instant travel time that Aceland does have, but all the same, it's still pretty fast. You do still go in one turn, and yeah, you can recruit a whole bunch of shit right here in order to keep going. And on top of that, one shouldn't forget to keep recruiting Black Arcs because you increase the amount of money you get through naval markets, and since you have so many slaves, yes, a lot of Black Arcs, a lot of major ports. So for instance here I would just get one Black Arc and, you know, just eventually get it to tier 2, while I'm also recruiting another army right here to deal with Snitch maybe, or deal with a couple of other things in this specific situation. That is how you dominate the seas, because at this point you have a lot of movement region around the campaign map. Like the sea lanes, the Ulfuan one will take you right here, so you can just jump in and take Lothern if you want to, with all the benefits that come with that. Crucially, you do get the Corrupted Flame of Assyrian if you take Attain, which gives you 50 diplomatic relations with Dark Elves. You kind of have an easy path to get Attain. I mean, sure, Morathi also has it. Morathi doesn't show up with free full Black Arcs by turn 25. You can, and with Lokhir, of course. Because Morathi can only have one Black Arc, really. 2 at turn 25, so that is a limitation. You can, and then that diplomatic relations benefit translates into you being able to then confederate different factions. And since your victory conditions do not require you to actually conquer the High Elven factions of Ulthuan, you can, and I'm not joking on this, you can genuinely just take the Shrine of Asuryan, nullify the aversion downside that you do have in a campaign with High Elves, and then just crown Lokhir the Eternity King. Eat to your heart on Malekith. Costin signing out.